He's infatuated with the culture in America for sure. And sometimes when he sees me in the morning, he'll go like, Maddie Turner. And he'll just with his like slightly American accent. It's pretty funny.
It's incredible to catch up with one of my favourite human beings in football. A gent who started a game you will remember, seriously, so late. It wasn't until the age of 16 that he truly picked up a pair of goalkeeping gloves, and he's proceeded to defy doubt and prove naysayers wrong, and there were many of both at every step, proceeding to live out his dreams by signing to play for Arsenal, the Premier League team he supported as a kid, and keep clean sheet after clean sheet at the World Cup in our nation's jersey. But it's a joy to welcome back Bergen County Buffon. It's Mr. Matt Turner.
I don't get tired of those intros, but I will nitpick a little. You said favorite person in football. I thought we were beyond that.
Football is best, Matt. Want to talk about the Arsenal experience. First of all, how are you adjusting to life in London as a partner, a young dad? How's life off the field in the big smoke? What's been the biggest culture shock for you to adjust to off the field?
Air conditioning or lack thereof. It was a pretty hot summer in London, so not having air conditioning in most places was pretty eye-opening. I think at first. I think that also, a bit of the driving, speed cameras, roads are really narrow.
Air conditioning. You don't know how good you got it, Matt. We've only just invented electricity in England, but I am interested in how your sense of football's changed over the last 8 months. You're training against the likes of Gabriel Martinelli, Jesus, Saka, Odegaard in attack. You got the likes of Saliba and Zinchenko at the back, changing your sense of defending. Mentally, how has it changed your sense of football?
Obviously you talk a lot about the fantastic players that I play with day in, day out, that I've gotten to know and become friends with and pick their brains and compete with them. And that's been really great. But I'll talk about the coaching side. I think for me, playing under Mikel has been extremely demanding, but in a great way. He has created an environment where trainings are extremely intense. Attention to detail is of the utmost importance on the field, off the field. Every little bit counts. And I think for me, it was sort of what I was craving. I was like, when a dog goes crazy because you're not challenging the dog enough. That's kind of how I felt in some ways. I felt like I needed a new challenge, and I definitely got that. And there's been some ups and downs for sure. I've had really great trainings, and I've had really great months, and then I've had not so great trainings and not so good couple of days, and balancing those highs and lows, but always preparing myself mentally, like I'm gonna play. This week is the week that I'm gonna be selected, and if not, supporting Aaron to the best of my ability. And I think him and I have developed a really close relationship as well, which has been something super special. So we can really rely on each other. So between the coaching staff, the people that I'm around, it was what I really felt like I needed in my career at the time. And it's been a really amazing experience. It's made me a better player. It's made me a better person.
Mikel Arteta, everyone who's watched All or Nothing feels like they know him as a empathetic, brilliantly emotional, intelligent leader. What's he said to you specifically? What's he said to you that's impacted you singularly in your game?
I just know that he has my back no matter what. And that's a really good feeling. That allows the player to feel the freedom to go out onto the field and express themselves within the structure that he wants, but still go out and be yourself and enjoy. Like I will give you one specific example. It was in preseason and I was getting a bit frustrated. We were playing a possession drill and I was in the possession drill and I felt like I was giving the ball away too much. And it's like one of my worst qualities that if I mess up, sometimes my body language gets deflated because I want to be so perfect. He really had a go at me about letting my body language show that I was frustrated. He's like, it's okay, you're trying the right things. You need to move on and keep going. It's just about learning from your mistakes and keep going and keep going and keep going.
Being a backup goalkeeper is an incredibly demanding role. You've got to train hard. You've always got to be ready to essentially be Nick Foles, unexpectedly flung in. Mentally, can you talk about your approach, your game day experience?
100%. It's a very challenging role because you're trying to take every game like you're playing, and you mentally prepare, you physically prepare in the same way. And then you have to deal with the disappointment of like getting really excited for it and then not playing and not having that, I'll call it that bonding experience with the guys who played, and you feel a bit on the outside looking in, and that can be challenging. But we have a great togetherness in our group, and nobody looks at anybody in the locker room as unimportant just because they didn't play. And I think that that's a really great attribute of the culture that's been built at Arsenal. Everybody's sort of on the same page. Everybody respects each other and their role within the team, from the players to the physios to the chefs to all the coaching staff to the analysts. Every single person, their role is counted on to keep that clock ticking, to be a gear in that clock.
What's your relationship like with Aaron Ramsdale? You train together as friends, but you're also competing for playing time. And he came on our show. We reminded him that he was a backup and displaced Bernd Leno as starter within a month. And he just goes, yeah, it's not going to be that easy for you to dislodge him.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong, I guess. No, him and I have a great relationship. You know, we sit close to each other on the bus. We hit the links together a few times. I'm a very analytical goalkeeper, and so I look at things in a certain light, and he is like the polar opposite of me. Like, he's analytical, he looks at things, but at the end of the day, I think one of his biggest strengths is his ability to clean his hands off, and tomorrow's another day, you know, and whereas I might harp on something a little longer. So I think we've mutually benefited off each other in that way because we're opposite in a lot of ways. We've made each other a lot better.
Okay, it's so funny. He said, we asked him what you're like. He said you're like Tigger because you're so upbeat. You just always bounce up from the floor and spring back and do the same in life.
I'm like an energy guy. I try to like keep the energy high, the vibes high, because it's the thing. Being a goalkeeper is not all glory, you know. So it comes with a good bit of graft. So you got to have fun with it within the lines sometimes. So you know, he's a great kid, and our relationship is really, really strong, and it's growing every day. And I respect him totally, and I'm so pleased for how well he's done this season.
We also have Bukayo Saka on, and he told us that you've been instrumental in updating his knowledge of American slang.
Him and I, a lot of times, we're eating breakfast together, and he's infatuated with the culture in America for sure. Sometimes when he sees me in the morning, he'll go like, "Maddie Turner," and he'll just with his like slightly American accent. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. How's your Cockney?
At first, it was really like if two of the London guys were talking to each other, I could not even understand what they were talking about. But now it's a lot better. I understand things. They'll use random words that mean something completely different. You know what I mean? Like if maybe if a car sped by and they were like, "Oh man, that was a Tracy Chapman," you know. Like, a lot of people would be like, "What?"
Oh, you don't know how happy you just made me, Matt Turner. Oh, Matt Turner in it. Oh, last week, Arsenal were knocked out of the Europa League against Sporting. And I know in the moment it felt disappointing. But what does it feel like in terms of being able to now just singularly focus at the task at hand?
I don't think for us or the fans, like, we're looking at it in a positive light. I think every time you're in a competition, you want to go and win it. And for us to not get the job done, particularly at home on a European night at the Emirates, like, we haven't had a night like that in a while. However, we understand there's another task at hand, and we need to bounce back quickly because we have another important game at the Emirates that Sunday against Palace. And, you know, we came out firing again and had a really great result, you know, leading into the international break. And but yeah, now just one competition left, and if we want some silverware this year, we really need to focus on this one.
The United States men squad are under the leadership of interim coach Anthony Hudson, a different gent, a different tactical approach, a different interim culture. Can you describe from the inside how it feels and how, if at all, camp feels different? Is it like different rules at mealtime? Is the training different? Is it just more nuanced tactical differences? How do you experience it?
I'd say, you know, Anthony was pretty much here the entire time that Greg was. So for us, the culture is the same, the tactics pretty much the same. There's not really a lot of surprises when it comes to on the pitch or off the pitch expectations. And I think the culture that was built and instilled in a lot of us, it's a young group, so that remains. I'd say it's been pretty solid for everybody, and guys look sharp and ready to compete again for another trophy.
Does it feel at all, is any part of you like the World Cup, which will be here in the United States, in the USA, is 1,174 days away? Do you feel that? Do you feel that need to almost take every moment, every opportunity to prepare? Do you feel any of that kind of like an anxiety?
It's more like excitement for sure. But a lot of us went through an entire cycle where, you're building up, and we understand how quickly things come and go. You mentioned that before. It's like all this build up, all this talk, boom, it's gone. You blink your eyes and it's over. So I think having had the experiences that we've had over the last few years for a young group, I think everyone's eager. It's not anxious. It's just eagerness to, get to that point, take care of what we need to take care of, individually, collectively between now and then, and prepare ourselves in the best way possible to compete at a high level, which now we have the confidence that we can compete at a high level, in the World Cup, and our expectations will be different than they were heading into Qatar.
Gio Reyna is part of the squad, and a lot of social media warriors giving their opinions on that. But the one thing I'd love to know is, inside the locker room, ultimately that's where it matters. Matt, how have you experienced that?
Things that happen with Gio, it's all in the past, and from what I've seen, it's been a real pleasure to be around him this camp. He's working his tail off. When he's working hard, he's really just at his best, and that's the kind of Gio that we need for meaningful contribution and to continue to help get this country to where we want it to be in the footballing world.
Following Balogun, dual national, Arsenal loanee, blowing away defences at Rennes, 17 goals in 27 games. Rumoured to be mulling his future. You talked about a connection that you forged with Folarin at Arsenal in pre-season training. Can you tell us about it and what your message to Balogun is at the moment?
Obviously, Flo and I, we had pre-season together, and obviously knowing that he has roots in America, seeing how he trained and the way he was in preseason, I knew that he'd be nothing but an asset to U.S. soccer. So to him, the decision has to come from him. It has to come from his heart. But I've definitely made it clear to him that, we would love to have him and that, he'd be, again, a big asset to our team. So, again, the decision's got to come from him, though. He's got to really want to be here. And, we'll see what the future holds.
One of many things I've learned from our conversations is that you're a gent who is extremely goal-driven. Can you tell us, what's your goal for the rest of the season?
For the rest of the season, obviously, we'll start in the short term. It's playing games here for the national team, winning those games, and getting back to London safely with my family. After that, it's, having a refreshed mindset, in training at Arsenal and putting my best foot forward and continuing to apply pressure to try to get on the field and play a Premier League game. I really, something that I want really badly is to play a game in the Premier League, at least one, but just to get my feet wet and say that I just tick the box in this season. So obviously that, and then outside of that, sort of do my role, whatever that may be, to the best of my ability, and get myself ready for another window in June, and we'll leave it at there. That's really as far as I've looked ahead for right now. It's hard to be too futuristic when you got a little one. You just take things day by day, and that's been really great, and it's allowed me to be a lot more present, which is also really nice.
Yeah, the goals is a science. The being present is really an art. So, like 2026, do you think about that at all? Do you think about that for yourself? Do you have a goal when you think about the 26 World Cup?
I don't have a goal specifically for the team yet. I will think about that. But on a personal side, I want to obviously play meaningful minutes at that World Cup again. The high I felt at Qatar is something that will drive me to continue to chase and be relentless, and just to keep going and going, because that was the honor and experience of a lifetime, and I fully intend to have that feeling again. And so whatever it takes between now and then on my club side to make that happen, I will do. My family's bought into that as well, which is a really good feeling to have that support at home as well.
A couple of quick ones from listeners, Matt. What is your bagel order? Where are you getting it when you are in North Jersey? That's from Eric from Charlotte, North Carolina via Bergen County.
John's Famous Bagels in Park Ridge, New Jersey. I'm getting an everything bagel, Taylor ham, egg and cheese. So Taylor ham, egg and cheese, salt, pepper, and ketchup on an everything bagel. And if I'm feeling it, maybe a hash brown, but probably not. One more thing on the bagels. I have, every time a family member of mine comes over from New Jersey, they bring me a dozen bagels from John's Famous Bagels. And they can only pick them up the day of the flight. So, yes, they're not the best, but it's better than anything I can find in London. And so what I'll do is I'll cut them up and I put them in the freezer, but I put them in the freezer at the training ground at Arsenal. And every so often, I'll just have a half of one. So I still have a few in the freezer there. But the first time this happened to me, all of a sudden, I go to get half a bagel one day, and our chef said, "Maddie, all the bagels, they're gone. I don't know where they went." And it turns out that somehow they went over to the women. So Arsenal's women got into my bagels, and they're all gone.
I thought you were going to tell me it was Zinchenko. My money was that it would be Zinny.
The women's. So I had to refresh my bagels, and now they're on high alert, lockdown.
Leah Williamson, give Matt Turner the bagels back. John's Famous, get that sponsorship deal in place. Don't just send the bagels, send Matt Turner some bloody ice. John's in Park Ridge, get this man a sponsorship. Big love, Matt. You incredible man. Courage. Subscribe here for more Men in Blazers videos, and courage.